Hey everyone, Erik here, coming to you from 3 months in the past, and welcome to Classic Month 2017. Today we'll be taking a look at arguably one of the best Fourth Doctor stories out there, Pyramids of Mars. The plot is a slight spin on the typical Doctor Who storyline of alien on Earth trying to wreck stuff up, with Sutekh technically being on Earth and Mars at the same time, while also working against the Doctor in every way he can, basically being the forces of evil here. It's quite interesting to see the Doctor out of his element, even if only a bit throughout the story, due to the magnitude of villain being dealt with. Usually the Fourth Doctor is very much on top of things when it comes to taking care of menaces, but here it does seem more like he's coming up with a plan as he goes along and sees what Sutekh can do. The soundtrack to the story has a few Egyptian-style tracks scattered throughout to add to the theme of the story. However, because most of the OST is more Doctor Who styled than anything, the Egyptian music can actually be a bit distracting, especially considering that the story takes place nowhere near Egypt. On the topic of settings though, the set design is superb in this story. The setting of the Pyramid of Mars makes it look both ancient and alien with a little bit of that typical Classic Who set design, which by this point we've come to love. The Scarman family home is absolutely beautiful, and all the sarcophagi make it clear that this is, indeed, the home of an archaeologist like Professor Scarman. Though, why an archaeologist would take about a half a dozen of the things and just leave them all in a room is beyond me. The puzzles in the Pyramid of Mars were extremely fun to watch, as we get some classic doctory wisdom and eccentricity out of them, such as when he solves the line puzzle using binary multiplication and estimation of measurements using scarf stitches, and how he outsmarts Horus's Guardian puzzle to free Sarah Jane. Sutekh is a fantastic villain, possibly one of the best Doctor Who's ever seen. Even though we hardly see him in parts 1 to 3, we see fully the extent of his power. He was able to, even if briefly, stop an explosive from going off, send a servant to take human form, in this case that of Professor Scarman. We see what the world would come to if he weren't stopped. Terrible, trust me. And at the end of part 3, he practically brings the Doctor to his knees. Then he actually does in part 4, and makes the Doctor his slave to bring the TARDIS to the pyramid. Never would one think that a man in a costume in a chair could be such a threatening, omnipotent demigod of a villain with the ability to bring a Time Lord to their knees. In summary, Pyramids of Mars is a fantastic story in pretty much every way, and it definitely deserves a place on the shelf of classic classics, along with Genesis, Caves, and of course, Time Lash. I give it 9 mummy breast crushes out of 10. Next time on Classic Month, it'll either be an early Troughton story that I've been meaning to rewatch, or I might finally get around to reviewing part of that Silurian box set. Either way, see you then. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Scarosian Filmmakers YouTube channel.